Have you logged 10 hours of screen time today solely by searching what's better, boats or buncha crunch? Then set sail for a buncha podcast to discover who's the top tang. I'm Mark Ives.
I'm Cody Hansen.
And I'm Zach Walker.
And you're listening to Apples to Orangutans.
Hang cave. Now, I try to make it look more like a jungle for us with the green light.
Every jungle in the world has hanging from trees.
Well, I'll tell you this, Zach, they do now.
Yeah.
I mean, they do now. Just
We do.
washing ashore on them.
Yeah.
We should just cover us in plants for future
Well,
episodes.
yeah, we
we
can't
should
even
just-
see.
We should just edit. We should put our audio on the visual of just like trail footage in a jungle, just like cam footage,
Yeah.
and just that's the video.
Perfect. We're everywhere. We're great.
Oh, man.
Another
Streaming
one.
worldwide, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mark
He's
has
in here.
started Survivor China.
You did,
I'm 4 episodes in.
isn't it just tasty?
It's great. It's great.
How,
What
did
season-
you
what season
weep
is that?
when Chicken went home?
No. I did not connect with Chicken much at all. Chicken's strategy was terrible of just like being bossy and then deciding like, I'm not going to say anything anymore. Dave is horrible. Dave sucks.
Dave's
so
awesome.
bad. He is awesome, but man.
Dude, where's Dave for Second Chances 2?
I loved when Dave went to the other tribe and he's like, Courtney, where are you from? I'm a waitress in New York City. Oh, New York! You make me miss that city so much. And like gives her a hug. Oh man, he loves New York.
What season is that again? What number? 15. Okay.
Iconic season. Golden Age.
James's first season. And
Oh, yeah.
Amanda's first season.
A lot of big names.
A lot of big names. We ready?
Yeah, we're going everywhere.
We're filming?
Yeah,
Okay.
and recording
Okay.
for the audio listeners.
Epic.
Yeah.
So, should I just go?
Sure.
Okay. Welcome back to the Tang Cave, you guys. We're at episode 3, and we're here with my lovely co-hosts, Cody and Zach. Araya.
Hey guys.
Full name.
That is my full name.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting it right.
Yeah,
Nice.
you've tried to trick us all these years.
I
Going
did.
by Zach.
I did.
Didn't think
I
we
didn't know
could
that.
figure out your identity, but took a while.
You did it.
So we're back with the hit podcast trending worldwide.
Right.
Apples
Number one on
to
all
orangutans.
the charts.
And what are we here to do? Zach, have you heard of a little thing? And you might not have. It's not a big deal if you haven't heard of this thing. Have you ever heard of the scientific method?
Yes. I love you
The
prefaced
look.
it with it's
The
not a
look.
big deal. Like you're assuming I don't know. I didn't
Zach,
take any science.
Just because
I do know.
because I'm unclear. Can you
Okay.
explain what the scientific method is for the
Okay.
audience?
Yeah, the scientific method is a
That's right. It's a head-to-head
It's
bracket
not.
style
It's
system.
not.
Okay, where you take two things,
No.
two ideas. Okay, freaking tuberculosis.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Versus an orangutan, a
Yeah,
stuffed one. At that.
Wildly
Okay.
like, favored matchup.
And you see which one's better, and that's
Yeah,
science.
it's the orangutan.
Okay?
It's
and
not
Fauci
science.
can't tell me to stay
Okay.
home. He can't do that. 'cause
Doesn't
that's
have
not
anything
science.
to do with this.
Okay.
Imagine running any experiment with that
And
logic.
and so
With just like, oh, well, I'm trying to figure out something scientifically.
Yeah.
Let's just take 2 ideas and I'll decide which one's right.
Yeah, and that's what. And so in a way, we are scientists.
We are.
and we are
What we decide is fact.
and we are accredited researchers.
Yes,
at
that's
this
true.
point. I
That's
think
true.
would be fair
We-
to assume.
We publish mainly on JSTOR, actually.
Yeah.
JSTOR and EBSCO host
And so
before anything else.
And so that's what we're doing. We're taking two things, anything it could be, and we're comparing them in head-to-head matchups, tournament style.
Tournament style
Using the
brackets.
scientific method,
We
and-
aren't.
and we're determining what the best thing is. And at
Yes.
the end of this, that thing will be the top 10.
Yes.
It will be factually the best
And
thing.
what will the worst one be?
That would be the apple.
That would be the
gobbler.
apple gobbler. You do get there. every time you do this. You
Of course I do. Do you know how I get
find a
there?
way.
It's not the scientific
method is how I
No,
get there.
it's not
yeah.
that. You're teaching the wrong thing to the many children that listen to this podcast.
Well, this is exclusively published on YouTube Kids. You know how on some YouTube videos you have to verify that you're 18 to watch it. You
I've
have to-
never done
For
that.
this video, you have to verify that you're below 6 years old.
It's
Yeah.
for infants.
Yeah. It's
To
well, 'cause
small toddlers.
We're sectioned under educational. Yeah.
We are. This is fact.
Anyway,
And this should form children's worldviews.
Cody,
So-
would you like to present the hypotheses?
Yeah.
This episode.
We have. So we have. We're back to 100 things on our list, and previously in the last 2 episodes,
We're back to 100?
Yes.
Did you guys? Did you add like a
added-
million?
So for anybody that didn't see the other 2, I only got one of the things that I put on a random list of things selected to be put in this tournament. Previously, it was 15 of your guys' things.
Yeah, and it was
Because ours were
awesome.
scientifically
And we
determined.
we didn't really
to be
talk
better,
about-
yeah.
There's
we didn't really talk about
more?
the list of 100 and when things go down. Like, do we
What do you mean when
generally, like, we would just remove those things, and then I have a greater chance in future episodes to get my things
No.
presented. But Mark
Yeah.
had to go in Wednesday night last week and add in like 17 new
fill it up.
70. And I never heard
16
anything.
I fill it up.
So Cody and I did not know this, and now Mark is
when I
heavily
printed the
Did you
sheet
not
out.
see the document?
No,
Yeah,
I
you have
didn't look at the document.
Yeah, I fill it up.
I don't-
I
okay, well,
fill it
I
up
need
to
to
the
do
rim.
that.
So there's like a
Can we take a
50%
5-minute
chance we
break
hit
and I can
Mark's.
add 50?
Yeah. When you think of something good, you put it on the list.
That's true. That
So
should
we
be
can
common
see-
practice.
We'll see what we get here. I'll random generate from this list from 1 to 100. 54.
Ooh, great number.
54 even.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That's the number of states.
That's
Yes,
right, Mark.
it
Great
is.
job.
And you know how we got to that answer? The scientific method.
Yeah, and by splitting Dakota 4 additional times. So you have
Yes.
North Dakota, Northwest Dakota, Northeast Dakota, and then same
And
with the South.
Then south.
Yeah.
So,
What is the first one, Cody?
Grumpy the Dwarf.
Grumpy the dwarf.
Ooh, huge pick.
Big pick.
Titan.
Can
All
we
right.
just can
Fiction
we call
and nonfiction.
we can just call it. That's the top 10, right?
And then the next one is 79, and on the list, that's the Pacer test.
Oh.
2 beloved properties, 2 beloved Disney properties going head to head.
Does Disney own the Pacer test?
Yes, yes.
Can't
You're
imagine.
not
don't
allowed
they
to
own?
run
That's
without
right.
Disney's approval.
Imagine if the Pacer test was Mickey's voice or Goofy's voice.
Oh, I could run for much longer
or
if Goofy was
or
the one.
Wally's voice.
Because what is it? It's
Ooh.
like just a generic male. That's
The-
just like, it sounds like a gym teacher.
Is
It's
it
like
a male?
55.
I thought it was like,
Oh,
a,
yeah.
like a
56.
text to speech type voice.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if
It's
that's a
actually
human being.
it's exactly Stephen Hawking's voice.
Yeah,
That's what kept me motivated.
and not his electronic voice either. He recorded it in like 1960.
Yeah. It was his greatest scientific feat.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Grumpy the dwarf
Yeah.
versus the
The
Pacer, test.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get into
Grumpy,
it.
So what
as
was
we
your
all know,
what was your highest score on the Pacer test?
higher than you. Higher than you, baby. I'm sure I did well on the Pacer
When did
test.
when did
Yeah, I'm
we
sure
have
I
to
did
stop?
better.
But I also could have done poorly.
We-
I was the slowest person in my kindergarten class.
Then I'd imagine you didn't.
Did you
do
know that?
great.
Wait, you had to run
But-
the Pacer test in kindergarten?
No, this wasn't in. That was just a fact, and I
Oh.
wanted to set the bar low
Okay.
because I gained every year. I got faster and faster.
Because you stopped running it after junior high, right? Like once you hit high school, you're done hitting.
Yes.
Running the Pacer
Yes.
test, I
That's
believe.
true.
Yes.
Or no?
We didn't do any like presidential
man. I'm
I'm
fitness
trying to
tests
imagine
in high school.
doing it in high school.
Maybe
and I can't.
freshman year. Maybe freshman year. But other than that, like high school was just like we played like mat ball. It's like
Which,
big
by the way,
indoor
weird
kickball.
that they would stop caring about your health
Yeah.
in high school.
Yeah.
Right when, because as a middle schooler, you can eat or do anything and stay like small and wily.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But as soon as it's like, oh, calories and lifestyle
Yeah.
starts hitting, it's like, he's got
then
it
you
from here,
gotta
huh?
then you just gotta learn to golf.
If anything,
It's-
you should start doing the Pacer test when you turn 35. The Pacer test goes from like 35 to 45, and then you graduate. from the Pacer test.
Okay. Is Grumpy the dwarf? I have 3 dwarves.
You do
on the
have
list,
that. I see that.
And I really wanted to pick Grumpy because look up Snow White and the 7. Like, look up
Because he might not know what this
7
is. He's
dwarves.
unfamiliar.
Just look up what? No. Just look up the 7 dwarves.
The
I want to
7
see a
dwarves.
list
Okay.
because I think I remember.
Welcome back to the
Names.
Snow White cast.
Yes, okay. This is why I wanted it because if you look up the 7 dwarves' names on Google,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
them will have their dwarf picture except for Grumpy. Grumpy's picture is just
An old
some
man.
dude with a beard.
Yeah. Look it up.
So that's
great.
Oh,
I don't know who that is.
That's the
Here's
live
a
action.
guess. Here's me venturing a guess. I believe that guy
Once Upon a Time.
is from Once Upon a Time,
Yeah.
which I saw the first season of years ago.
Is he a grumpy character?
Oh.
Presumably,
Hey,
if the show was well written.
look at this. There's like Once Upon a Time.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's
Well,
not
this
some
is
dude that's a
not
professionally
comparing
paid
the two.
actor playing Grumpy in a live action
Okay.
adaptation of the classic tale.
This is not him that we're arguing. This is the cartoon Grumpy the dwarf.
Why
Well,
is
we'll
he?
see.
Because he's playing Grumpy.
Yeah. He's
Can't
a part
that
of
be
it.
factored in?
He's a part
to
of it.
Grumpy. His
I
performance.
guess sure if you want.
Yeah.
Does it make you like
Well,
him
then
more
he's
than
the
the
top
Pacer
10.
test?
He's the
Easily.
top
Yeah.
thing. When I wrote Grumpy the dwarf, I was definitely thinking the cartoon.
Yeah.
But it could be anything.
This
Yeah,
man looks like
could
he
be
would
any
That's what
Grumpy.
this
stab you.
podcast. Are you talking about the cartoon?
They're talking about the real guy, the live action.
The cartoon-
Oh, he played in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was
Oh,
the
he
bald,
played
he was
Grumpy.
the bald
In Pirates of the Caribbean.
like the two.
Yeah,
The little duo?
dynamic
That boy.
duo.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah,
There's
he's pretty
Grumpy.
angry. The
Gru-
Pacer test sucks. It's bad.
I liked it.
Really? Did it
I
make you
thought it
feel
was
superior?
kind of
It
fun.
was way better than the mile.
Wait,
Way
we
better.
didn't have to run a mile.
We had to
I did
run a
not. I had
mile.
to run a 5K
Yep.
one
Summer
year
gym.
in summer gym.
Yep.
Summer. You guys had summer gym?
It was a
I did.
choice.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a choice. Okay.
Yeah.
We
Get
also
your
had
pants
that,
early.
but it was just like we went and played dodgeball and then went home.
That's way
It
better.
was just games.
Just games.
But we
Games.
had every year until I think high school, we had to run the mile run, and sometimes we'd get to do the Pacer test. And when we got to do the Pacer test,
And you're like, yes.
it was way
Sweet.
better. It's way better because the mile was painful, and you would always like go and drink water after the mile, and then your throat would hurt really bad when you were drinking the water.
Of course.
At least mine did. And the Pacer was always super fun.
Like when Mark eats an apple.
And I did, yes, exactly.
So,
And I pretty sure I was pretty good at the Pacer.
Nice.
do you remember your highest score?
My highest score in probably 100,000.
Probably like they stopped it because it
Yeah, yeah.
the recording ended.
I would run it for a week on end, and the janitors would come sweep around me.
Nice.
Well, Zach
Um,
is still running the Pacer.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's called life,
he's,
baby.
He's zipping so quickly between
called
now
life.
that you can. He's after images
Yeah,
that we're talking
yeah.
about.
The Pacer. If people don't know what the Pacer test was, there are probably people out there who don't
Yeah,
know.
you're running it back and forth in the gym.
Yeah, and there are little beeps,
Boop, boop, boop.
and you have to run a length, like the length of a gym, like horizontally. In between the beeps.
I feel like people have used the intro from the Pacer test in like remixes and things. Like I feel like I've
Yes.
seen that before.
Yeah.
And it's the most
the
horrifying.
Fitness Gram Pacer test
Yeah.
is a multi-level fitness test, something like that.
Yeah.
This is my logic. This is how I'm going to do it. I definitely think the Pacer test has caused more people harm than Grumpy the Dwarf, but
Not emotional.
how much obesity has Grumpy the Dwarf stopped? You know?
I don't know if the Pacer test has stopped a single case
Single-handedly.
of obesity.
It did for me.
but
It did for
Oh.
me. I every night I went home and my mom said, "Mark, I cooked your favorite meal. 3 Big Macs and a family-sized bucket of chicken from KFC." And I said, I
cooked
can't,
your
Mom.
favorite meal.
I can't
Pacer test is
because I
next
have a
week.
Pacer test in 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
it
yeah.
was always so you're always looking.
Yeah.
forward. It's like
Right
did
after
you-
next Pacer.
Did you get a bunch of money if you did well for the Pacer test, or why was it such a
Gets
huge
you into
deal?
Not a bunch of money.
Gets you into a
but
better school.
some.
Yeah, like $20,000.
Okay, too much.
Yeah, just
For
a
a middle schooler.
sponsorship from my
Right.
local Taco John's.
I'm kind of torn. We haven't talked about Grumpy nearly enough.
Yeah.
But I feel like whenever the pacer test happened, it was always kind of a positive experience. Like running it felt fun.
Cool.
And also it was like, yay, we don't have to do the mile. But thinking back, like, would I want to run the pacer test right now? No, I don't need to do that. And thinking about Grumpy, it makes me laugh. Grumpy the dwarf is funny. He has a big frown.
Yeah.
I think a character that's the only thing about him is he's mad. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But is Grumpy even in the top tier of upset characters? I mean, he's competing with the Grinch, Squidward.
Yeah.
Squidward, I'll say this. I think Squidward might be the greatest fictional character of all time.
It's possible.
But we can get into that later. Grumpy's cool. I do. More joy is brought to me when I think of the pacer test. And I think it's brought me more joy in my life and in the
Then Grumpy the Dwarf.
Yeah, then Grumpy the Dwarf. I don't think about Grumpy the Dwarf. I'm going to go with the pacer test on this one.
I think you have to go to the pacer test just for the, couple $10,000 I collected cumulatively.
That you all listeners can get if you run the pacer test and beat Mark.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a pretty high score though.
I was
17.
Also gonna vote.
Okay, low. Seems low.
Okay.
I score 8. What did you vote for, Cody?
I was gonna vote for the pacer
Speak
test as
up.
well. Yeah, I'll vote for the pacer test as
Okay.
well. Mostly just because of all I don't know anything about the Grumpy the Dwarf or any of the dwarves.
It's
for that
vexing that he said,
no way.
I'm not gonna write down one dwarf on this list.
Yeah, that's
I'm
great.
gonna go for 3.
3, baby.
Let's see if we can get another one in this.
I should have done all 7, and I should have written them all 7 times.
That would have been awesome.
That
the
would have been
Bible tells
awesome.
you not to forgive someone 7, but 77 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Grumpy the Dwarf tells me to never forgive anybody.
Oh,
And he personally is my savior.
Yeah,
so,
two competing
but we
canons.
can get into
All right,
that later.
Next one is 92,
92, 10 more than 82.
the national park system.
Wait, what did you say?
92,
Science.
10 more. Oh, you
Yeah,
said
I
82?
said 10
I
more
thought you
than
said
82.
72.
Mark doesn't even know how to do math.
That's true. I only
Wow.
know science.
Wait,
science stuff.
we
I
got
don't know
the
math.
national
The
park
national park.
system.
That's one of the new
Yeah.
ones. Mark added.
Insanely hard to beat, especially with this group of people.
And the next one is 62, which is Bigfoot.
Oh.
That's a
Oh, it's going down for real.
Mark
Yeah.
is doing the worm on the table.
Yeah.
This is a crazy matchup.
That's a heavy hitter.
That is an insane matchup.
Oh my god.
basically one of my top 10 picks versus one of Zach's top 10 picks.
Wow.
This matchup is.
Well, I mean, you love Bigfoot too, right? And you didn't initially
That's
write
what I'm
this.
saying.
You didn't
Bigfoot is
initially
my
say,
top
but
10.
but you were the one to initially write it, right? Or
No,
did
I
you
think
put
Mark
Bigfoot?
wrote
Oh,
Bigfoot.
we're that
Also, it
deep.
doesn't matter who wrote what.
Yeah,
These are
yeah,
just
it doesn't.
We've spent too much time talking about who.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, Cody,
Wow.
I would love to hear what you think first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, this is tough. The national park system versus Bigfoot. Okay. Well, I've visited so many national parks already. I
True.
want to see them all, but Bigfoot is, man. I guess what is the most exciting thing about Bigfoot is the fact that we don't know that if he's out there or not.
No, I want to hear what you think.
Yeah.
What do you love most about the national park, and then what do you
Yeah.
love most?
I
If
think-
you have an
okay,
affinity
yeah, what I
for
love
Bigfoot,
about national parks is just the open space, the just beauty of being out there. I mean, someone who loves to take photos and videos, going out to national parks is just naturally one of the best things to capture. So that piece of it I love. I visited, 5 already just this year. And
was your favorite one?
I think the favorite one I visited so far is Zion National Park.
Oh, that one's so awesome.
Yeah.
Great pick.
That photo right there. I love it. National park. But Zion was the best because every park, every national park I've gone to has a great story behind it and why I'm there. And I'm usually there with good people, on a great trip. So it holds a lot of, weight to me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people can share their experiences of being in national parks and camping together, cooking meals late at night under the stars, 0 light pollution,
Yeah.
seeing wild animals you usually don't see,
Yeah.
cool drives, cool hikes.
It's one of the best things in the whole world.
Oh. And I mean, wearing warm jackets by the Grand Canyon.
It's a shame that Bigfoot is up against the national park because I would fight hard for Bigfoot, but I'm going to fight hard for the national park system because it's my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
But
What's your favorite national park experience?
my favorite national park experience, experience as a whole. The best national park I've ever been to is Glacier in Montana. It was incredible. I went with my friends right after we graduated high school. And I
Same, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was one of the first things Mark and I bonded over at college. That was fun. A little cute moment.
Nice.
But Glacier is incredible. I love that it has one, huge mountains, like big alpine lakes, and also it's very large and it doesn't get like absolutely inundated with people.
Right.
I think that is the one like hit against national parks is like some of the super beautiful popular ones like Yosemite.
Yes.
If you go in the summer, there's just going to be crawling with people. And
Yeah.
unless you like get a backcountry permit 7 months ahead of time,
Oh my
you-
gosh, yeah.
you
have to get
can't
it
really
horribly.
get like
And Glacier is seasonal, right? So there's closed.
yeah,
they're
you can't. I
closed
mean,
for a lot of the
you can't
season.
like drive the road in the winter or even like up until sometimes until like July
Wow.
because there's so much
Yeah.
snow. But I went on a big 13-mile solo hike in Glacier, and it was the best hike I've ever done in my whole life. And it was amazing. I saw like a bighorn sheep like 10 feet away. It was looking at me, and I just hiked the whole thing. It was like 7 hours by myself, and I met people on the trail from all over the country and met a couple that was celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary and doing the same hike that like was challenging me as a 18-year-old.
That's sick.
So that's what I want to be.
It brings out a lot of people from a lot of different areas too. Like so many
Yeah.
people come to a national park from like all these different areas.
Yeah. It's
Which is
just,
cool.
I have no poor memories of a national park other than like if there's too many people on a trail. It's just like I feel so free when I'm like out in nature like that. And yeah,
So
I love it.
the system itself of national parks, does that just mean all of the national parks? Or does the national
Yeah.
park system mean something
I don't think
else?
we're talking about like the
We can
government
we can
organization.
get into
The
how they're
organization
governed
of
for
the-
sure.
But we should talk
'Cause
about
Bigfoot's
Bigfoot a
not
little.
governed, or is he
Bigfoot
governed?
is ungoverned.
Well, before we move on to Bigfoot, and this is a big matchup, so this is going to consume a bit of our time. I do want to say, for national parks, I think there is a lot of layers, to what make national parks great. Like for a lot of these things, because anything can be on. For a lot of these things, they're very one note for why you might like them or advanced. But national park, I think you have like experientially they're great. For you as an individual, it's great. They have an inherent good for like the world, because they are preserving these amazing tracts of land for the future, for other people to have their experiences, but also just for the planet. And then and I don't know how many people think about this when I see them. To me, the national parks are like really a symbol of like the best of governance and of us as a society. Because obviously, these things could not exist without like government interference, regulating them and coming in and saying, like, we as a society, this is something we value and we're going to protect it together as a collective.
Yeah.
And without that, I mean, we just wouldn't have them. They'd be gone. They'd be logged. They'd be mined and drilled. And so thinking about that, like, really gives me hope. Because it wasn't a small feat. There's a lot of moneyed interests that would love to get their grubby little hands on the wood and on the oil and on
The views.
minerals, on the views. if you could just monetize coming in, like, you don't think Disneyland wants to own Yosemite?
Yeah.
Right. And so, it was a big deal that Roosevelt started this system. And I think it's really
and it's held
awesome.
up.
And it's held up,
Which is more
against a lot of assaults from private interest. And so I think national parks are very multifaceted in the types of virtue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very strong showing. And now just to get into it a bit, obviously we popped off at Bigfoot, and if you don't know like who we are, that might be interesting.
We're actually
Anyway,
Bigfoot hunters.
we are
which is our other
part-time-
full-time job.
Yeah.
That's what pays for the studio.
Yeah.
But Bigfoot to me, almost I mean, similarly, it is a multifaceted thing. So, like, I personally do not believe in Bigfoot. But I remember a more innocent time in my life when I did, or that I questioned him. When I was like growing up, I would watch these TV shows. There's a specific one on National Geographic called Is It Real? Where they would bring in people to talk about like aliens and Bigfoot and ghosts and present the evidence. And then they'd bring in a counter, a skeptic team, and they would debunk the evidence and they'd take it down. Which, you know, from a production standpoint, you might think like that's not going to get the views. Debunking Bigfoot isn't going to get the views as hunting him. But as a young man, it really like thinking through things like Bigfoot really like taught me like science and logic and reason, and really like inspired me to learn. Because there are arguments for him existing, there are arguments against him existing, and that push and pull really taught me like logic. And I came out of it not believing in him. But, you know, there is something very whimsical and magical about imagining, you know, what if a creature like this could exist beyond the body?
Mm-hmm.
And he's something in between nature and man, and there's something very metaphorical about that, but there's also something very practical where, like, you know, if he were to exist, he would be like a relatively close cousin. And so, you know, for a lot of these things, you have the hands-on experience, and then you just have the value of like imagining them. And I like imagining Bigfoot and thinking about these things in relation to him. And so, as a fan of Bigfoot as a fictional character, I do think I have to say I'm probably going to give it to the national park system just because of it's real in my life, and it has these very practical effects on me, and that's not necessarily always going to be the argument that sways me. I think there's something to say that sometimes fiction is better than reality. But the national parks, I mean, they're just so good on so many levels. Also, here's an argument: Bigfoot, where's he probably living?
National
probably in a
parks.
national park.
Olympic.
Yeah. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Probably hanging out in a national park.
Yes.
It's really interesting that you talk about that you mentioned like the fiction being better than reality.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Because to me, I think the comparison of Bigfoot and national parks is, in my mind, or for me personally, like a perfect comparison of the fictional, version and the realistic version of the same thing, which to me is wonder and awe and amazement. Because when I was a kid, I loved cryptids as well, and I had books of them, and Bigfoot was like one of them that I really liked, like looking at the books and just like wondering, oh my gosh, what if that was real? That's
a great cryptid
so
book in my
awesome.
house.
Yeah. And
Should've
it
brought
brought a lot of joy to me, but it was fictional, and it was, or at least not tangible to me, but it was like thinking about that was amazing. And I don't really think I ever achieved that emotion other than when I'm like in a naturally beautiful place.
Yep.
And when I think of that immediately, I think of national park. I think that the idea of nature cannot be quarantined to just national parks. I think when people think of like nature and amazing awe, they think of like Glacier and Zion and these huge, huge things. But I think the world would be better, and like Earth would be treated better if we thought about nature as like, oh, it could be that tree outside of this building right now. But when I think of like wonder and awe in terms of nature, I think about national parks, and it is the tangible version of thinking about Bigfoot. Almost
something like comforting. I was just gonna go off like with the national parks thing, is that you like knowing that it's gonna be there hopefully for longer than you're alive.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that for me that like makes me adore you know, the space even more.
Well, it's just like, I don't know, when I'm there, I just feel incredibly alive and incredibly free, and because I feel like my life is, and I'm very privileged that I'm able to be there and experience this, but just like feel like my life is stripped down to the like bare essentials and very simple. And I really value that. And that's something I want to try to chase. And that's something that's hard to chase when you're going to work 9 to 5 and you're in traffic and all of that. And there's beauty in all of that too. But like when I'm just on a backpacking trip or up in the Boundary Waters with my dad,
Yeah.
it's just like, which isn't a national park, but if I'm at Glacier, it's just like, man, this is the only thing that I'm experiencing right now. And I feel like I'm so completely myself and my mind is so on like one thing and that thing just being like existing in this place simply. And it is, it's the best experience.
And before we move on, this is something that I find interesting. And I don't know how dry this is going to be for many viewers, but to me, it is fascinating and useful. But so last week, we had Batman versus a robust welfare state. And while the robust welfare state not only does good, but I would say it does even more good than the national park. Batman won.
That's for another episode.
The welfare state is boring, is what we decided, and that boringness makes it easy to assail. People don't really like thinking about the welfare state. People don't rush to defend it in a way that something national parks, I think they do very well, is they do make people excited and they are an important part of people's lives. And because of that, I think what you pointed to, Cody, how they've been around so long, it's because it really engages you in that way. And it makes clear this tangible benefit in your life. And so people have rushed to defend it over 100 years.
Yeah.
And so like, not to make this into much of a political organization podcast, but moving forward, the way to defend the welfare state and to pass things like the Build Back Better agenda or whatever, you need to make it exciting for people, and you need to show them like these are the practical things that are really going to help your life. And that's what it does so well. And so there's just so many levels that make national parks great.
I mean, I don't think there's another thing that has such easily identifiable merit than the national park. Like a welfare state, it takes a lot of work for a lot of people to recognize the merit. Even like you say robust welfare state and people have to ask, oh, what is that? And then you have to explain, and then there's biases and all of that. National park system, you look at a picture of Glacier and you say, oh, that's good. And across, unless you hate going outside. But even if you do that, you telling me, look at a picture of a mountain and you say, oh, that's not, like, that's a beautiful thing.
And part of it is it's universal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody can.
Anyone can go to a national park in the same way that, a lot of middle class families aren't on food stamps, so they don't value food stamps very much, or they don't think about them, even though they're vital. But anyone can go to a national park, and everyone has been to a national park. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people have. And they're great.
Yeah.
I mean,
national parks. I vote national park.
National park.
Yeah. It's an easy.
Wow. Well, we
That's
have to
great.
make every other matchup about 30 seconds long. So let's
All right,
no,
I'll generate
just be
it
a
up.
longer one.
That's good.
That was great.
20.
Loved it. 20.
Gambling.
Gambling. Oh, now we have a contender to national
would have
parks.
beat national parks.
Versus. Seeing a ghost.
Whoa.
Okay.
Spooky.
Wouldn't be where I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for
For
gambling.
seeing a ghost.
And I
Hey,
have $0.
you just watched a ghost movie today.
I did. I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife.
So you
does
saw
that
a lot
count
of ghosts.
as
Yeah,
seeing
you
a
saw a
ghost?
lot
I
of
was
ghosts.
spooked out of my mind. I was like, how did they capture this footage? So
He yelled that in the theater, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I yelled
every
that through the
every
whole
time a
thing.
ghost came on screen. Whoa!
there was a
What
guy.
is
There
that?
was a guy who would clap whenever they'd make a reference to the old Ghostbusters.
No.
and I
that's
was
incredible.
and I was sitting right next to him, and in my mind, I'm like, calm down, come on.
That's incredible. Ghostbusters doesn't seem like a thing that has a huge fandom, but I know it does.
It does, but
It
it's like
certainly did when
before
it
our time.
came out,
Yeah.
but it's a millennial
you
thing.
don't-
No one our
yeah,
age likes.
I
Who's
don't-
hyped about the release, the new release, or like the new movie? Who's
Mhm.
hyped about it? Is it people our generation, or
No.
is it no? But you still went to go see it because
I went to
why?
go see it because
That's that
Oh,
ghost.
I come here at 7 and I get off of work at 4, and so
and it's
I-
$5 Tuesdays.
and it's $5 Tuesdays, and it's a really long drive to my house, so I need somewhere to be during that time, and so I typically go to a movie.
That's a great. Way to spend your time.
So you went to see it today?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Right before this.
Right before.
So
He's
you
fresh.
still scared.
Yeah.
I've
He may
been
have
shaking this
brought a
entire
ghost
time.
in with him. Was Slimer there?
Slimer wasn't in the film. There was a blue version of Slimer. I think his name was
That's
Muncher.
Isn't
Muncher!
Isn't he a big piece to the franchise?
He's like a mascot. I
Yeah,
think it was
he's like on
brave
all
of
of the
them not to
logos.
put him in.
Yeah.
Oh, 'cause they're
We
just-
love Slimer.
We do love
Slimer would be the top 10 in every bracket.
Maybe they thought that they were gonna get sued by like Nickelodeon.
Yeah, because he looks
Yeah,
so much like a slime. Nice.
That's
They thought he
ours.
was gonna be
That's our
sued. Thought
slime.
they're gonna be sued by Minecraft
Yeah.
for putting a slime in.
Yep.
But this is seeing a ghost.
Yeah.
Which I think has crazy implications for
It
your
does.
life.
Are
Have
ghosts
you
real?
guys ever had a ghostly experience?
Ooh, besides at the cinema today.
Whoa. Ghostly experience? You ever
Yeah, at
seen
my
them?
old house, I had a really old house that was over 100 years old. Growing up, Mark's been there.
Mhm.
Numerous occasions where you just hear noises that but I've never seen like it's noises and things like what could that be? Was that my name? Like I thought like something whispered my name to me, and I was like downstairs, and I like very scary.
Do you
But
think it
nothing
was-
like I saw a ghost in person.
Did it sound like Slimer?
I don't know what Slimer sounds like.
Did it?
I've never seen them.
Did it
Jeez.
sound like this is a cease and desist order from Nickelodeon?
Stop talking about Slimer.
So no, I've never had a real ghost experience.
I've had one ghostly experience in my life. And it was when I was studying in Oregon, and I was with Mary, who's my current girlfriend. Exciting. And we were standing outside the library, and we were gonna walk back to our respective cabins, and something, like we just heard huge footsteps that seemed to come out of nowhere.
And
It's
Bigfoot.
And it was Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like it was in a full sprint, but we didn't hear it approach, and then it stopped right behind a pine tree, and we were super scared, and I like shined my flashlight immediately on the pine tree and was like looking around, and I saw nothing move, heard nothing move, and I'm like, who is it? What's going on? And I walked up to the pine tree, and there was nothing behind the pine tree, and we had heard nothing, seen nothing, so we were like freaked out. We didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
but we were freaked out for a while. And it turns out that it was just one of my friends that he was memeing on us. But
Wow.
I still
Where
don't,
did he hide?
I don't know how he pulled it off. It was like crazy. Because he explained that like he was running in the dark because he was scared.
Yeah.
And he didn't want us to like find out that it was him because it would have been embarrassing. But I don't know how he like approached silently and then broke out into a full sprint. It was insane.
So
But
I have a quick story I want to say before we transition, Mark, to your, because it's, I need to, and you actually know something about this story because it's recent. And so
Am
I had a
I a
roommate in
ghost?
college, and like last year, so very recent, who is older than myself, but still actively believes that ghosts are real and actively wants to seek out ghost hunting. And so,
as a profession.
and just know, like me, like we're not like that tight. So like I'm just like he asked me and my friends who were over with me for the night.
Are you
If-
tight enough that there's a possibility he listens to this podcast?
Maybe I doubt it. I doubt it. If he
I
does,
hope.
I hope so.
I'll send it to him.
And we went to a local like cemetery with my friend who was staying over with me for the night. He's like, let's do it. It's like 2 a.m. He's like, guys, I just really want to go chase ghosts.
Legend. King. Absolute
let's
king
go.
behavior.
And so there's like some website that like houses all of these like active ghost sites, right? And there was one that's like 15 or 20 minutes from our house, and he's like, there's a YouTube video on this, that's like it's got like 150 views. And it's
Ghosts.
it's like it's
150
real.
Ghosts.
And so anyway, we drove out there, and like flashed our flashlights and laser eye pointer, the red laser pointers out into like this cemetery for like a half hour, and went home and didn't see anything. But this was 365 days
he
ago.
is
This was last year.
last year today?
Pretty much.
Exactly
Around this
365
time.
days?
Yeah, right. Like around this time.
Was he hoping that?
We
Is
would
that how
see
you
something.
catch ghosts?
Yeah, you go
Is
and
you'd
you
like
flash.
point lasers at them?
Yeah.
Wait, we didn't have a net, you see. So,
Oh, you need a ghost net?
yeah, we didn't have that. Or a vacuum.
Well, what you do is you take a net and then you dip it into Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah. And then you catch Slimer.
But we were hoping that next time you would come over that you'd be able to join us on our next ghost journey.
I
but
would love to.
Yeah.
That
Never
would
happened.
be incredible. This is going up against gambling,
Yeah, which has made you the man that you are today.
which has made me the man I am today. Grew up gambling lightly. that sounds exciting.
Slots. That's
Yeah, my parents would take me to slots at the bar every day after school before I finished my homework.
Here's a question:
would-
is it gambling if it's not real money on the line?
No.
No.
It's playing a
You
game.
have to be
I
giving
think.
playing a
something
game.
up, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I would like play poker with my family with real money on the line, but it was very small.
Yeah, I didn't think
Oh,
everyone's
like,
had
you
a
put it in, like,
similar
if you lost, would your father take your money?
Absolutely, yes.
Legend,
Yeah.
king.
He'd have
king
to.
behavior.
We'd all put in at family events. We'd all put in $2, and my dad was the bank because
Poker,
he
right?
had poker.
See, 'cause
My
they-
dad was the
poker
bank. He had
family.
he had all the poker chips. So he'd take all the cash, and then he had like a bunch of like residual cash in there from other things that people lost or like money that he just put in. And then we'd play a round of like a night of poker for like 2 or 3 hours, and then he'd just pay you out whatever you had left. And if I started with $2 and had $0, I would not get my $2 back.
king behavior.
And he always he never wants to play poker without real money because
Right.
he says that it breaks the it breaks the game.
the psychology.
Because if you're
again.
just
Yeah.
if there's nothing on the line, you
Yeah,
just
there's no
bet
real risk.
randomly. I think
Right,
it
there's no
does
real
also work if you want to play a tame version with candy. I
It
think that's
does.
super fun. Or
Yeah.
like some snack food.
yeah, like
um,
apples. If we just played with like a pile.
Yeah,
of
just a
apples.
pile of
gambling?
apples or
Yeah.
Is that still gambling?
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
No, 'cause
If it was with apples.
That's
If it's
as
with
much of
apples-
gambling as going
I think
to a
it
haunted
counts
house
if
and
it's
seeing
with
ghosts.
goods. I think
If
if it's there's a real tangible outcome,
yeah,
there's a material difference being exchanged.
Yeah.
That I feel
So
like that
candy's
counts.
I'm cool
gambling?
with that. But I also
Sure.
yes.
Okay.
I also think it's such a slim proportion of gambling in the world. I don't think anyone's lives have been ruined by candy gambling.
we don't
Well, that's
know.
what they played the World
Don't
Series of
generalize.
Poker.
Yeah,
I
they do.
mean,
I'm going
But-
all Reese's in.
I like
all Reese's.
I have a great time playing poker with my family, and gambling is like I guess part of that, but not the main part. I think I'd have as much fun if we weren't playing with money. I do sometimes if I go to a casino and play blackjack, which I've done like 4 times in my life, that's a great time. But honestly, I would rather gambling not exist in the world.
I think
So-
gambling has hurt more people than seeing ghosts. Also,
also,
if we're pulling
if
that
we're voting
metric.
on seeing a ghost, like actually
Yes,
seeing
that is
one,
what we're
that's
voting on.
amazing.
yeah.
that would
It's
be
life changing.
It would be
And
incredible. It would be
honestly,
spooky for
let-
sure, but not as
You're-
spooky as being financially
Because I
ruined.
think I know
Everything
where this
changes.
is going.
Everything
I say
changes.
we vote, but then get into the
Yeah.
implications next
Okay.
week.
All right.
That's what we're
Okay.
gonna talk
Yep.
about.
Yep.
Because it's seeing a ghost.
Seeing a
right?
ghost.
Seeing a ghost.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that. Okay. Okay. Bracket. Pulling up the number generator. Generate. 85.
Big number.
85. Boats.
This has been a good bracket.
This has
Some
a lot
champions.
of heavy hitters.
Generate. 73. Buncha crunch.
Great candy.
That's
Absolutely
the-
great candy.
Okay.
It's the theater candy.
Yeah. And I get it
Okay.
every single time I
So
go
it's
to the
like
theater.
a crunch bar and bunches.
Yeah.
Have you
Okay.
never had Bunch of Crunch?
I think I probably have,
'Cause
but
they
I
have
never.
rice in it, right? So you can eat.
Yes, they
Yeah,
have,
yeah,
it
yeah.
has rice puffs.
Well, that's a point for Bunch of Crunch.
It
Well,
is.
actually, you can eat probably most shops.
I never get candy at a movie.
Oh, I exclusively
Never,
get
ever.
Buncha crunch.
Dude, Bunch
At
of
a
Crunch
movie
is
theater.
like the
You don't
candy
even get
for movie theater.
popcorn.
Oh, I
Like,
mean, I get popcorn, but candy.
Well,
I don't, I
you-
wouldn't
If you're
think
getting
about-
candy, I think Bunch of Crunch might be the premier movie theater
And
candy.
if they
Grace,
don't
do you
ha-
get Bunch of Crunch?
She
You don't get
shakes
Bunch of Crunch? She
no.
shakes no. If you had to get candy at the theater, would it be Bunch of Crunch? Okay, that's
If
that's
they
a
don't
sure
have
from
candy,
Grace.
if they don't have other candy, if it's like Buncha Crunch or they're out of stock, I just don't get other candy.
Not even a milk dud.
No,
Not even one.
Not even
even
What
play
if,
around.
what if he was offering to sell you one milk dud?
For
Here's the thing,
$5.50.
I've never
Yeah.
had Buncha Crunch outside of the movie theater either.
I saw some at the dollar store.
Yes,
and,
they do have it at the dollar
and
store.
I grabbed it
And
at
then
the
you
dollar
bring it
store
to the-
to watch it during a movie.
Exactly.
Whoa,
Okay.
knuckles.
Yeah.
I
Look how sad he is that he
Well,
wasn't
both
included.
are
yeah,
in
I
the
really
rules.
was. I really am sad. I think I'm gonna stop talking.
Great, Mark.
Bunch of Crunch. What I have to say about it, I don't know the last time I had Bunch of Crunch. It's probably fine. I'm imagining it tasting bad. I don't know why.
Well, you're wrong. I mean, you're
It-
just flat.
it
It's one of
feels-
the most wrong opinions you've ever had.
Do you like a Crunch bar?
Yes.
It's that, but a lot more
mash it
crunch.
up.
But in bunches,
But a
would you
lot-
say?
Small, yeah, like a lot more crunch, and in little.
But it's not
globs.
like
So
a crunch
it's
bar.
bunch. It's a bunch 2 different ways.
It's
'Cause you're get-
as if you took a crunch bar and you mangled it, and
Right.
so it's little
You put it
pieces
in a
of crunch
blender.
bar.
You put it in a little blender, and you blend it.
Pieces?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like tiny. They're like
Are they like bunches?
yeah, they're like bunches.
Okay. Wait.
is the technical
So the
terminology.
Yeah, there's
Wait,
small
so there's-
orbs.
Why isn't it called bunches of crunch?
Nice.
You should
Very
talk to them
cool.
about that.
No, but why isn't it?
Because it's not a bunch of bunches of crunch. It's
Yes,
a bunch
it
of
is.
Why do you
crunch.
call anything anything?
A bunch of crunch would just be rice, like puffed rice.
Because it's a crunch bar, right?
Yeah, it's a
And
crunch
so if
bar.
you
There's
break
not
it
a
up-
lot of them. There's
There
one.
is. There's a bunch of them.
No,
They're
there's
so
one.
little pieces.
There's one.
It's a bunch of little pieces
no,
of crunch
yeah,
bar.
and then that sums up. I'm using the scientific method, and it sums up to one crunch bar. So it should
No.
just be called crunch or bunch of bunch of crunch.
I bet you that got pitched. And I bet you they're
Yeah.
like,
Guys, I got the name. Bunches
And they were-
bunches of crunch.
And
like, it's
they
way
were
too-
going with it too, and then they saw someone already had that patent.
have you had bunches of oats? Like honey
Bunches of
honey
oats?
bunches of oats.
I have never had a bowl of honey bunches of oats, but they should be called honey
bunch of
honey
oats.
honey bunches of oats.
honey boats.
Speaking of honey
I don't-
oats, let's talk about honey boats.
That was really
That's
good.
the best transition we've had all
I
all
love boats.
Aren't they great?
sailboat.
When I think of a boat, I think of
Ski boat.
the ski. I do. Well, not like the
Motorized
super fancy ones,
pontoons.
but like a big, like a 100 plus motor on a boat, because I grew up doing water sports and water skiing and tubing, and we'd go all the time. There's a little lake by our house we'd drive to. My dad would drive the boat, and I started water skiing when I was 9, and it's like one of my favorite things to do ever. And boats made that possible.
Yeah. Bunch of crunch couldn't be here without boats.
That's very true. That's very true.
Do you prefer water skiing or tubing?
Water skiing. Water
love
skiing is my favorite sport.
Ooh.
Yes. Whole world.
Do you watch it at the Olympics?
I don't. No. But
Wow. Unathletic much?
Thanks, man. When I'm water skiing, it's the greatest. I love it. Tubing is amazing. Tubing is definitely way more accessible. You can jump on a tube and have a great time. Like I started water skiing when I was 9, and like starting to water ski is incredibly frustrating. And Mark knows this. My
Okay.
dad and I gave it our best shot to get Mark up on the water skis.
And I did get up
And you did.
for very brief
Yes,
periods of time.
yes. But now that I have gotten quite good at water skiing, it is just an absolute blast zipping around.
So it's interesting that you say your favorite sport is skiing, because my favorite sport is watching movies. And as such, you can't do that without Bunch of Crunch. So gonna have to vote Bunch of Crunch.
Bunch of Crunch over boats.
I would go.
I don't think about Bunch of Crunch ever. I would never pick. I don't think I'd ever pick Bunch of Crunch
I
at a
think-
movie theater.
I would go to the Olympics if watching movies was a sport. I do.
How would that be?
I just watch
judged?
them well.
You
You
watch
know,
them well.
I make funny comments. I have a good
I
review
feel like that's
at the
not
end.
watching them well if it's in a theater.
I can always identify Leonardo DiCaprio when he's on screen.
That is,
There
and
he
you
is.
gotta have Bunch of Crunch to do that.
Yeah.
If Bunch of Crunch was in front, if bunches of crunch was in front of me right now, I would eat it.
Do you feel disrespected that he's not
I
even
feel
saying
somewhat
his name right?
disrespected. I feel offended,
You feel like he's
Largely-
attacking you?
but mostly pissed.
When you see a boat, what do you think? to
Slavery.
yourself? Oh my god. Okay.
What now? What now? Has
That-
Bunch of Crunch
Yes,
facilitated
I was-
slavery?
Yes, that's what I was actually gonna say. Yes, when I think of Bunch of Crunch, I think of human exploitation and
Yeah.
suffering.
Oh, they probably have, haven't they? Because chocolate is made by
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
I guess good counterpoint. I guess everything is facilitated
Yeah,
by slavery in the
not the
my
national park
gosh.
system.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, America is facilitated by slavery, so you know.
Bunches of Bunch of Crunch, baby.
Yeah,
I think I like saying the name. Bunch is a bunch of crunch?
Yeah, which is their official
Yeah,
name.
which is their official name. I will vote for boats, though. I like boats a lot. I don't like yachts. I hate yachts. I think yachts.
That's the only type of boat I'll go on.
And you hate
I'll
yachts.
only
do.
go on a yacht.
I do.
It's the only boat.
I'm
I'll
not
go
talking
on.
like I'm not talking
After
false. You've been on
after
my
you
fam-
make. Here's the thing, Zach. After you make your first 35 million, it's just like everything else is
You
like
gotta get
so
on your
last
yacht.
year.
Cruise ships are cool. Big
Yeah.
tankers are cool. Tugboats is one.
You
of
can land a
tugboat
plane
might
on a
be the
boat.
best word of all time.
You can land a plane on
Yeah.
a boat.
Yes, yachts suck. Yachts are just like you have a bunch of wealth.
Why do you hate yachts?
I just don't like them. I look at them and it's just like there's so much money there, and you're
Yeah,
taking.
think about
Also-
how much Buncha Crunch you could buy for the price of a yacht.
Oh,
You could eat Buncha Crunch for the rest of your life.
It's a bunch of
A
crunch.
bunch of Buncha Crunch.
You're kind of swaying me, man. If I didn't grow up using boats a lot, I would definitely give this to bunches of bunch of crunch. I'm still gonna vote for boats.
Think about how many boats have been used in military conflicts over the years.
How many people?
How many people have
from
died
boats?
because of boats?
Yeah. Yep.
It has to be Buncha Crunch.
at least one person has had to die from bunch of crunch.
In the
Choking
theater,
on it,
that
like
might
choking
be
on it.
true.
I think this is the first time I've been genuinely swayed. I think I'm gonna vote for bunch of
Grace,
crunch.
Grace, have you been killed by Buncha Crunch? One out of one people
Yeah,
both
Bunch
have
of
not
crunch
been killed.
is a silent killer too, because like if you're choking the theater, you don't want to be obnoxious.
Yeah, I would rather die than ruin the guy next to me's experience of Ghostbusters Afterlife.
True. Especially when Slimer could be on the screen at
The
any
silent killer.
moment.
I'm amazed that you got flipped because
I
I
did.
was gonna vote for boats and I'm still leaning towards
I
boats.
also went in going to vote for boats, but then when the logic hit me, I was like, cancel boats much? I mean,
Great story about boats. Mark snuck onto a boat. I don't know if we
I
want
did
to go
sneak
down
onto a
that
boat.
route right now.
You
That's
know,
maybe a
we had
future
a
episode.
prom on a boat, and I didn't want to go. Then I did want to go. I snuck on a boat. It was a big deal.
Oh,
It was-
because you
that's
didn't
the
have a
path.
ticket.
Yeah,
It was the talk of the town.
It was the talk of the town. It was a thing. I'm a bigger man now, meaning I couldn't sneak on the boat because I'm physically larger. And
Yeah,
they go,
he was
oh,
a
it's
ninja.
Mark. Yeah, but at the time I
Um,
was 3'5".
So
Not
short.
not
in
true.
high school.
Yeah.
That was our senior year of high
It
school.
was before I hit puberty.
Amazing.
Puberty.
All right.
Everyone grows.
I'm
3 feet.
transitioning. Okay, the four things that we have left is the pacer test, the national park system, seeing a ghost, and bunch of crunch. This is the strongest
So-
lineup of four we've ever had.
Yeah, with pacer test
Ever.
not pulling its weight.
the pacer test deserves its place.
So we
Mark.
can run through this match pretty quick.
Hey.
Pacer test versus the national
Yeah.
park system.
run through
Run
it.
through.
Like,
Pacer
hey,
test. That's
oh.
getting my vote.
You could say your pace.
It's not. The pacer test has absolutely nothing on the national
yeah,
park
let's
system.
move on.
Yeah,
I
we
think-
listen. We all. I think it's safe to say we've all had terrible experiences with the pacer test. Even if we've had good ones, there we've been like, oh my gosh, I'm running. I didn't like particularly it separate the boys and the girls to do pacer tests, so it feels like all of the women in your class are watching you.
Mm.
Oh,
that
wow,
was tragic.
That's why I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
That was hot.
Took your shirt off.
Yeah.
That was tragic.
At lap
By
five.
the way, taking your shirt off something you can do in a national park on a
At
hike.
lap
Very freeing.
5, 3 laps after I failed.
Yeah.
I got a score of 2, and I just kept walking.
You're not even in line with
shirtless.
the buzzer.
Yeah.
They're just going past you.
I have my arms up like this, like Randy
the
Orton
gym teacher's
style.
like, "You're done." You're like, "I'm not done."
I'm
No.
not done. The girls
Um,
are still watching.
So, Mark, you had some interesting things you wanted to mention about seeing a ghost. Is that right?
Oh, well,
You
I
wanted
just thought we could get into because I do not believe in ghosts.
Wait, do you believe in ghosts, Zach?
No.
Okay.
As in, like, ghosts that are roaming around and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
No, as in the ghosts of your past that haunt
So,
you.
the show Supernatural had an interesting take on
You love
ghosts.
Supernatural.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
grew up watching that show.
Had an interesting take on ghosts. They're real. That was the take. There was
I've
no,
never heard that.
There
take
was
before.
no nuance.
well, on how a ghost comes to be, and a ghost comes to be is like you are faced with this individual after you die that decides if you're ready to die, and you go to where you're going. And so if you're not willing to accept your own death, you stay on Earth, and you can't transcend what's next.
like a purgatory type of deal.
And then you just, you make that decision once, which seems unfair.
What can ghosts do? Because they can like manipulate.
Well,
stuff
eventually,
in
yeah.
media.
Over time, they get like in the show.
You level up.
Over time, they learn how to utilize their powers and like speak, move things. Create.
They have a Skyrim type perk system.
That's
Right, and it's just
tree.
experience.
They have to open it up.
And then over
They
time,
have
they
to
get mad.
actually have an Xbox or a PS4 to do that.
And over time, they get angry because they can't, move on.
I would too.
Right.
So, and what is this? This is up against buncha crunch, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is the angle we should take.
Did you have Buncha Crunch today at the theater?
I don't typically get
Okay,
food at the
alright.
theater, but if I'm getting a candy, it's gonna be buncha crunch.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So this is the angle I think we should take. So buncha crunch to me is like, because on the scale of things, like the national park system is very, very good, and there's some things that are very, very bad. Like all the evils boats have committed
Yes.
over the eons. But then there's something that are like relatively neutral. I think buncha crunch is like good in the scheme of things, but I don't think it's like crazy. What I think we should get into is seeing a ghost like good or bad?
Yeah,
Because I think
that's the convo.
I think there are huge pros and I think there's huge cons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so let's get into it.
Yeah.
Do you
Pro number one.
do we want to go pros first before cons?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're an optimistic group.
let's get into the pros.
Pros.
Well, are you leaning towards cons?
I
let's
am. I
clear.
if I
Okay.
was given the choice, like somebody said, you will see a ghost in the next year. I'll see an
Mm.
actual ghost. I would say I don't want to do
Hey,
that.
Let's get into the pros.
But let's
lay
get
it
into the
out.
pros.
Okay.
The pros. I have one. You would personally 100% affirm something that is like deeply debated and
Yep.
and you're always wondering. I think a lot of people say like don't believe in ghosts, but I know I'm not 100% like. There's always a little bit of me is like, yeah, maybe could be. I'm pretty sure
I
that they
think
don't exist.
It's
but
important that somebody else would see it as well. If I was the only one that saw the ghost,
you'd think you'd be insane.
Yeah, you'd be insane. So that's a con. But also, if I was with somebody, it would be a pro because then somebody else could share that and that experience. With
Mhm.
And here's a pro. Afterlife confirmed. I mean, you don't know about heaven or hell, but there's an afterlife. I mean, there's a ghost.
There's something after life.
And so, that's big,
Yeah,
and you
that's a
might not
big-
be able to prove that to others, but like having that knowledge,
There's a
I-
lot less.
I don't know if it would,
Yeah, that would be.
would it change how you live?
Yeah. Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
How? I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm like
Hmm.
genuinely
Yeah. No, I think it's just
interested in
you
how
know,
that would look
I
tangibly.
feel like that there's always a sense of like not really 100% knowing what's out there. Similar for me, Bigfoot. I still think there's a chance. Okay.
Yeah.
But with ghosts, like it does that affirmation is almost like scary.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how.
Like, so
It would take longer
before
to
we get into
process.
because we're on the verge of dipping into the cons, and I think it's a
There's
chasm.
not a big list of
But
pros. There's a
before
lot
we get
less
in
than I
there,
thought.
I think because once it like because human behavior is it's all on a spectrum, and so I work at a church. I consider myself a very devout Christian, but I think belief is on a spectrum, and some days you find it harder to like fully believe than you do on other days, and that affects your behavior whether you like it or not. I don't think I am always selfless and loving people to the degree that I'm called to do. And I feel like part of that is because you don't really know, you are going on faith. And if you know there's an afterlife, I feel like you go, okay, balls to the wall. We're gonna freaking do good. We're gonna make this life count. And so I think that's the pro. And in addition to being just a very cool experience, like you are, not many people see these things. You're on a very special club. Now we venture into the chasm. Zach How about you dive into why you wouldn't want to see a ghost?
Why I wouldn't want to see a ghost. I really do. I think it would be something that obviously I could never get out of my mind, and it would like kind of shatter my worldview of even like the worldview of not knowing. You know, this worldview of like, I'm also a Christian and I believe in an afterlife, but there is always just that sense of unknown, that sense of wonder. And I think that I like it that way, that it's not sure, you know, it's just something that like that makes faith necessary. And I think faith is an incredibly important and wonderful and beautiful thing. And then seeing a ghost would like kind of break that of like, oh, well, who was that person?
Yeah.
How did they get there?
Right.
Is that where I'm
Why
going?
could I see them?
Are there decisions that I can make every day to not get there, to
gosh.
get there? You know, it would like be this, it would give me
Constant.
one tangible point of reference to the afterlife. And I think that would consume me.
And by the way, the one tangible point of reference that you would have is not part of like the mainline belief structure
No.
in you know what I believe.
Yeah.
Like I do not believe in ghosts. So the one thing I would learn is, oh, there is an afterlife, and it doesn't function
Yeah.
like I thought
Yeah.
it did.
It's just you roam around in Baldwin, Wisconsin.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you can avoid this fate.
Yeah.
What do I need to do?
Yeah, exactly. It's that. It's
Yeah.
that I don't want.
Yeah.
It's just this like, I don't want to spend a majority of my life consumed with thoughts of the afterlife. And that gets into like my personal Christian beliefs and faith beliefs and what I think about like how much credence we should be giving to the afterlife, preparing for it and all of that. I won't get into it. But like, I don't want a generous portion of my life to be funneled into focusing on where did that ghost come from, and am I going there? How do I go there? How do I not go
Is there
there?
a sign? Or a
And
reason you
it would
saw?
just be like, I don't know. I want to keep ghosts and all of those things just like wonder and keep it to that. It keeps it fun.
Because I would counter with so I think, you know, I think our purpose is to do good and to do as much good as possible, and so I very much like I wish I was more consistently doing good, and so if there was some sort of and I do think it's interesting because if I could have confirmation of the afterlife that I believe in, if that were to cause me to do more good, I think that would be good. But clearly, faith is important and necessary. If we're assuming there's an intelligent creator of the universe, values faith, clearly there's importance to it. So I don't want to overrule that. But regardless, the thing about the ghost is it's not in line with like it completely changes I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go forward with that piece of information. It is the one clear data point I have. It just doesn't make sense. And then here's a thought. What if that's the good afterlife? I mean, what if it's, what if there's just a bad place and this? That's bad.
Yeah.
Those
are the thoughts that
Yeah.
you're going to be wrestling with every day.
So it's spooky.
Mhm.
It's spooky, and but here's a pro. You could probably be cast as an extra in Ghostbusters Afterlife 2.
You could.
Okay, that's
You
a
could.
lucrative side gig.
Are you saying if you become
became
a ghost? Yes.
Well, you could plan your whole life around that event. You
True.
could be like, I'm gonna go to acting classes. I'm gonna specialize in like ghostly performances.
Yeah. It's interesting because I'm already doing that, and I have not seen a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with seeing a ghost, and I
It's amazing that
am
that
neutral on
surpassed
Buncha Crunch.
gambling initially.
Yeah, well, gambling can ruin your life more than seeing a
Yeah.
ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it affects actual people.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
And it's
So
versing
did Buncha Crunch
Yeah.
just
It made it to
make
the
it
final
Buncha
two.
Crunch
Finals.
a candy that Zach hasn't eaten is in the finals against maybe Zach's favorite thing.
Yes.
So
The final matchup. Can you just read this for us, Cody?
So it's the National Park System versus Bunch of Crunch for the top 10. However, before we pick that, we need to go back and choose our apple gobbler.
Oh, what are the 4? Gosh, look at him gobble that apple.
Grumpy the dwarf.
Nice.
Bigfoot.
Grumpa.
I typed it wrong. It's fine.
Man, it
Gambling
is such
and
a
boat.
shame that
It is.
Bigfoot is in the bottom
It's
4.
tragic.
It's tragic. Okay.
Oh,
so
wait, what was the last 2? Oh, it was
Gambling and boats.
gambling and boats. Let me
Yep.
say this. It's a shame that we scientifically proved that seeing a ghost is better than gambling. Because the more we talked about it, I was like, well, that could be the apple gobbler. But it's clearly not.
yeah,
Because the scientific method ruled that it was better
Yes.
than gambling.
gambling, boats, Bigfoot, and
Grumpy.
Grumpy the dwarf.
So
Gambling.
What can we knock off right away? Bigfoot for sure
Bigfoot.
is not.
Bigfoot's not the
I-
apple gobbler, though he could gobble a lot of apples.
He
He could, and for that reason, we're making him the.
I
apple
think boats. I don't think boats are the apple gobbler.
They've done a lot of evil, those boats. I mean, hashtag cancel boats. Get it trending.
You're the only one on.
It's
They've just.
if you guys want to be associated with boats going
I
forward,
do.
you can.
I
but,
do. I don't think anybody's coming
Helping
after.
a lot. They've
Get the
helped so
camera.
much. Canoes,
Got
Mark.
the camera.
For so long, boats have been a part of society
Yes.
and supported society
Yes.
with moving forward as
Ever
society.
heard of a
Very
little
much.
thing called World War II much?
People hunting out of boats, Mark, fishing from boats, making their
They're
livings
killing
from
people from
boats.
boats.
Having fun from
People-
boats.
Yeah,
Boats are great.
you're good.
We're
Yeah.
2-1 knocking boats off the
So at this point, the apple gobbler is between Grumpy the dwarf
and
and
gambling.
gambling.
It's got to be gambling.
Gambling has a lot of cool movies in Las Vegas's entire
That's
structure.
true.
Las
Ocean's,
Vegas's
Ocean's 11.
How much genocide is Grumpy facilitating?
Are you
Okay.
still on boats?
I'm still on
Okay.
boats.
Well, Grumpy isn't. I'm going full. It's gambling. Gambling ruins lives on the daily, and the good that gambling brings is just like purely hedonistic and material,
Where does gambling
And
dollars go?
not fulfilling.
Does
Where
it-
do gambling dollars
Yeah,
go?
when it's not like okay,
to,
so
to casinos,
state
to,
lottery,
to
Yeah,
private
the-
interest.
The,
roads.
most valuable institution we have, casinos.
Yeah.
the roads.
They don't go to the road. Sometimes
Yeah, public,
there's an
like,
awesome
lottery?
there's an awesome the Georgia state lottery system is connected to a really good scholarship fund that allows high schoolers if they're in like the top 25% of their class.
If they're the top 10
If they're
of
the
their
top
class.
10 on this podcast. It's either that or like even I think it's if they get like a high enough GPA, they get a half of their tuition to state schools completely covered. And if they
Wow.
get like above a 3.9 in high school, they get a full tuition ride. And then if they keep that up in college, they keep that throughout the years.
Wow.
It's just a great system.
A lot
and
of lottery systems
Yeah,
go
they
towards
fund
public
the-
work.
public education, and that's great. But so
what
I
is
think
Grumpy the dwarf doing for education?
I'll say this. I have no affinity towards Grumpy the Dwarf. I don't even think he's funny. I don't even really understand
I
why
don't even really
Zach
know
put
who
him
he
on
is.
this list. So
He's there.
gambling, yeah, it's ruined a lot
it
of people's
ruins
lives.
a lot of life.
But
Grumpy,
also, Boston Rob does it. And that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
it is cool. Watching the World Series of Poker is cool. Grumpy is I think
fantasy
he's
football
funny.
a form of gambling?
Yeah, if you're putting money into
If
it.
you're putting money
Which
in it.
I
And you
do.
play a lot of
Yeah,
family.
but
we
is
both
it
play a lot of
skill?
family football.
Huh?
I guess there's skill involved
There's
in like
definitely
poker.
skill in blackjack and
Yeah.
poker. Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
poker's
true.
and the World Series of Poker wouldn't be on unless gambling
But
existed.
is it gambling? What if something was 100% skill and money was on the line? Is that gambling? Like if you and a friend put money on a race you were having.
I think it's skill.
in a hypothetical scenario that it's 100% skill and
Yeah.
no outside factors had any play in
Mhm.
the performance
think-
of anything, then maybe it wouldn't be
But it still
gambling.
is people playing golf and betting on it. That's gambling.
Yeah,
That's gambling.
but there's
Yeah,
outside,
that's not like
but
a competition
No,
for
it's.
money.
I think the definition of gambling is you're putting money on the line for an
an undetermined outcome.
outcome, and then if it goes your favor, you get
Is
the money.
investing gambling?
Yeah, I think it's a
Okay.
form of gambling. So I'm gonna vote on Grumpy the Dwarf to be the apple gobbler.
Grumpy. Really? Why?
I've never seen Snow White. I don't even know what he does or why he's significant.
Grumpy's just there.
get
He's
this.
mad. He's
just-
grumpy.
and
It's
that's
simple.
a terrible
Yo,
attribute.
Get this whack
He's
ass
just upset. He's just
1939
mad.
cartoon
Wild.
character
Just
out of
mad.
here.
That's the worst
Gambling.
attribute.
There are a lot of
Yo.
fun things about gambling, but gambling ruins lives
Have you
every
seen
single day.
Minions?
Yes, of
Have
course.
you seen Minions?
Of course.
Okay.
Minions were probably inspired
Minions
by.
make Grumpy obsolete. Get him out of here. We're going for the Minions.
Yay!
The top 10 this week goes to Minions.
Okay, that's true. End of pod. So
Grumpy
the
did-
Apple Gobbler's grumpy over
the
gambling.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. I've had fun gambling.
All
and,
right.
if a couple people's lives need to be ruined for me to have fun, I make that
And I'm
choice every
freaking
day.
into it.
What's
the final matchup?
All right.
A heater.
Remember
It's-
when Bunch of Crunch beat Bones?
And seeing a ghost. I mean, I guess that the initial matchup was probably more challenging.
Okay.
So-
Here's my challenge. So this is National Park System versus Bunch of Crunch.
That's correct.
Zach, I want you to give me your best pitch for Bunch of Crunch right now. A candy that I'll remind the viewer Zach is not eating.
My best pitch over national parks.
Yeah, for Bunch of Crunch.
Okay.
I like the route.
Imagine you are at a national park
Yeah.
visiting.
Right.
You could be having a great time. I'll give you multiple options.
Okay.
Say you're having a bad time at a national park and you're on a really hard hike that you don't like and you're with somebody who's being annoying
Right.
and you're hiking up this mountain and you get to the top and there's 1 million people there and you're super sad and your water bottle is like almost gone.
And your friend reveals to you, I'm actually a serial killer.
Yeah.
Stab, stab, stab.
Yeah, and you-
throws you down the
you
mountain.
die.
And your lips
Um,
are chapped.
But your lips, yes, that would be bad. Your lips are chapped, and you get to the top, and you're just having a bad time. But you realize you have not eaten in a while, and then you're like, "Man, I really want a snack. I really want a little bit of energy, a quick energy hit, or maybe a sugar hit,
Ooh.
something that can just give me a little hit of endorphins to make this horrible experience
Yeah.
better." And you reach into your bag, and you realize that you had the intuition to pack one movie theater sized box of Bunch of Crunch and you down that in one swallow.
And you know what else I'm like? I'm like, why am I here in whack ass nature?
In nature.
When I could be watching the film Inception,
yeah.
okay,
Or Ghostbusters
by Christopher
Afterlife.
Nolan,
Yeah.
starring. Oh, I know him, Leonardo DiCaprio. Where's my gold medal, please?
He's the greatest movie watcher of all time.
Yeah,
And you eat that Bunch of Crunch and you feel great. And then I'll give you my second scenario that you're having an amazing time at a national park. It's the best time ever. And I can actually vouch for this. I went on the best hike of my entire life in Glacier and I hiked 8 miles uphill and I was at the top of this mountain and there was a little chalet where you could go in and you could buy little candy. And I wish I had bought Bunch of Crunch. That would be amazing for the story. But I did not. I went in and I bought a Hershey's with almonds.
nice.
That's
That
a good
doesn't
alternative.
sound
That's a
amazing.
good- I
Well,
like
it's a
that, though,
B-rate
yeah.
Bunch of Crunch.
But-
It's like
Yeah.
but
right there.
It's a
it
worse
is
version of Bunch of
that single candy bar is the greatest candy I've ever had in my life because of where and when I had it. It was
Mm.
such an incredible experience. I was looking over this alpine lake, eating
You
a
just had a
Hershey's
chocolate
with
bar.
almond. And if that was Bunch of Crunch, I probably would have had that experience enhanced. But my real argument is none of the merit of Bunch of Crunch that I just explained could have been possible without the merit of national parks. And the merit of national parks can far exceed anything Bunch of Crunch can bring to the table.
The main point from that I heard is that Bunch of Crunch enhances
Zach
everything.
convinced me. Zach convinced me. The top dang.
Wow, no.
It's Bunch of
No,
Crunch.
no.
You did it. Hey,
No,
round of applause
I
for Zach.
did not.
He convinced me the top tang is Bunch of Crunch.
It's not.
Cody, who's your top 10?
You're actually voting for Bunch of
Of
Crunch?
course!
Why?
Because it's the candy of film, of cinema.
So, it's not.
What's your favorite movie?
What's my favorite? The
Yeah, it's
Shawshank Redemption.
Minions.
It's not Minions.
And Minions couldn't exist without Bunch of
That's
Crunch.
not true.
How would you watch it? It would be
Without
impossible.
eating.
Okay?
Or
and if
eating
you
another
didn't
thing.
watch Minions,
And I would
you wouldn't learn the lesson to love your family.
That's true.
And they wouldn't take you to national parks because they wouldn't love you because they didn't watch Minions. Yeah.
Minions, even if that was true, Minions is not made possible by Buncha Crunch.
There is a war on the nuclear family, and Buncha Crunch is the only thing holding it together. That's right.
I think if you went to any household, you would find Buncha Crunch in 0.0001%.
And how many national parks would you see in their house?
That's true! Cody coming in with the facts!
I bet more people. This might be a hot take. It might be totally off. I feel like more people have experienced national parks than have experienced Buncha Crunch.
Do you know who manufactures Buncha Crunch?
That alone,
don't be offended.
Cancelable. Cancelable. Okay, do you want to be boats?
I said
this or the year of our Lord 2021. You're gonna stand with boats.
No.
And say that Buncha Crunch isn't the greatest candy of all time.
I put up 2.
You're telling me that my favorite candy isn't Buncha Crunch right now.
I'm
You're
not
insane.
telling you that.
You're a madman.
I'm not telling you that. I put up 2 barriers to my claim. I said this is a hot take and it could be wrong. Then I said it.
You said I'm
and
both
you said
an idiot
I'm canceled
and a dumbass.
I didn't
for
say
liking
that.
Buncha Crunch and honestly liking my family. and Zach, that's tacky. That's distasteful.
It is tacky.
That's tacky.
I'm
it's borderline offensive. I'm losing my mind.
If I'm offending you by picking National Park System over Buncha Crunch, I will happily do so. I vote for National Park
Your
System.
votes.
I'm not both. What do you
Buncha
vote
Crunch
for, Mark?
is so good.
Buncha Crunch.
Insane.
But
You convinced me.
Cody, you have a picture of a national park hanging up in this room right now.
And guess what? In his bedroom,
It doesn't.
It's covered in Buncha
It's
Crunch
not.
posters.
I did work for the company that makes Buncha Crunch for a year and a half.
Legend. King.
Nestle?
King coming in.
Was it a great experience? Was it amazing?
It was a fine experience.
Okay, fine. Yeah. How is it going to beat your experience at National
we also
Park?
didn't make chocolate in that factory. We
Yeah.
made
What did you
a
make?
lot.
Yeah,
other
and that's
stuff.
why your experience
You ever
wasn't
had those
amazing.
Boost protein shakes?
No.
It's called Boost.
It's you said that, yeah, before.
It's for old people. You don't need to have it.
Okay, how do you drink it a lot?
I had a lot of it.
It was the only thing they let you have for sustenance when you worked there.
I had like 150 of them for sure. At least, maybe 2.
A day.
Oh, a day. 2 a day for like a lot of days.
That's
But
a
I
lot.
still think the National Park System wins. Mark,
that's
I'm
so
sorry,
whack.
dude.
That's so
Buncha Crunch
whack.
is the second best thing at a movie. Popcorn, is
my
great.
Gosh.
Everybody loves
Dude,
the National
bad
Park System.
take, bad you.
And
this is gonna
got fired
age
from
so
Nestle, so.
poorly. You're on the wrong side of history. This is cringe. You're posting cringe, and I'm not affiliated anymore.
National Parks win.
Wow.
Grumpy the Dwarf is Apple Gobbler. Buncha Crunch. I'll probably never think about it again.
I did accidentally write the National Park Crunch as I was writing in the top
that's
10.
a good compromise. That's a fair
That is.
compromise.
National Park flavored.
Tastes like dirt.
Great.
Tastes
Well,
like dirt in the sweat of tourists.
Bite that apple.
and catch us on the next episode. Thank you, everybody. Good up.
Later.
There's a lot of uncertainty in this pod, but one thing's for sure. The real top tang is you. So thanks for being here, and we hope to see you next time. Now go tell your friends about us and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Keep swinging, Tang Nation.